Right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're looking at something totally fascinating and honestly pretty counterintuitive when it comes to personal growth. We're exploring a philosophy from an author named Shui Feng. He uses these incredibly relatable, everyday street encounters to map out what he calls the highest realm of human behavior. Basically, it's a look at how we react under sudden pressure and what those split-second reactions actually say about our spiritual and mental maturity. And to really get a grip on this framework, we're going to kick things off with a simple but mind-blowing story.
Okay, picture this. You're just walking down a busy street, right? Minding your own business. Ahead of you, there's this elegant lady doing the same. Then bam, out of nowhere, she gets hit hard from behind and knocked completely to the ground by a guy on a bicycle. The rider, obviously freaking out, scrambles off his bike, rushes over to help her up, and he's just stammering over and over, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Now, pause for a second. Think about how you, or really anyone else, would instinctively react in that exact split second of shock and pain. You got it? All right, well, wait until you hear what this lady actually did.
So she literally just brushes the street dust off her clothes and with zero hesitation looks right at the guy and calmly says, "I'm sorry, it was me who blocked your way." No way, right? She doesn't yell, she doesn't glare at him, she literally apologizes to the guy who just ran her over.
Section 1. An unexpected apology, defying standard human reactions.
This brilliant little story perfectly sets up our exploration into a much higher state of mind. Why? Because her response goes entirely against our baseline human instincts. It just beautifully illustrates the massive gap between ordinary behavior and true psychological mastery. I mean, let's be real. A typical reaction to getting knocked down from behind involves immediate retaliation. The average person is going to scold the cyclist, maybe scream at them, or even demand some hefty compensation for the shock and the scraped knees. But look at her reaction. She shows absolute zero anger. She blames herself, demands nothing. Actually, her words explicitly imply that the guy on the bike was somehow in the right and that she, the actual victim here, was in the wrong. When you look at an interaction like that, you really have to ask yourself, what kind of realm is this? Like, what state of mind you have to be in to take a sudden physical hit from a total stranger and instantly respond with that much grace and humility? Shui Feng suggests this lady is operating in what he calls the highest realm of cultivation. She's the ultimate role model for personal growth. But to truly wrap our heads around what this means, we've got to look at the exact opposite.
Section 2. The angry driver. A stark contrast on the road. To see how this all connects, let's check out a completely opposite and, let's face it, way more common human reaction. Picture a rural dirt road in Yuzhong County, Lanzhou City. This is over 30 years ago, so there were barely any cars around. Suddenly, the quiet is totally shattered by the screech of a truck's emergency brakes. The truck slams to a halt right behind a guy riding a bicycle. Now keep in mind, a simple, polite honk of the horn would have done the trick here. That would have been a perfectly sufficient warning, but that is definitely not what happens.
The truck driver shoves his head out the window. His face is just beet red with rage, and he screams at the top of his lungs, "Are you looking to die, damn it?" He is just completely consumed by anger. Now notice, there's no actual physical collision here, unlike with our elegant lady. Yet the driver's reaction is explosive, it's hostile, and it shows a total lack of emotional regulation.
Section 3. Traits of a cultivator. The baseline ethical standards.
This dramatic contrast brings us right to the core of this philosophy. So what exactly is a cultivator? Well, a cultivator is someone who adheres to strict ethical standards. It's a person who consistently communicates kindly and behaves appropriately, totally regardless of what's happening around them. It's basically a foundational ethical framework. It means keeping your internal peace and your external politeness intact, even when some random bicycle is blocking your truck. To get a bit more specific, the concept gives us some really clear boundaries. Cultivators actively avoid negative actions. They don't scold, they don't hit, hurt, annoy, harm, or provoke other people, ever. Think back to our truck driver for a second. He failed on almost every single one of these metrics in the span of about 5 seconds. He scolded, he provoked, and he clearly tried to emotionally hurt the cyclist just because he was feeling a little impatient. He completely failed the baseline test.
Section 4. The highest realm, the progression of spiritual maturity.
So how do we actually get there? How do we move from just doing no harm all the way up to that profound mental breadth we saw in the elegant lady? Well, it's mapped out as a clear 3-step journey. Step 1 is exactly what we just talked about. Basic ethics. Just don't do harm or provoke people. Simple enough, right? But step 2 takes it up a notch to mental breadth.
This is where you actively acknowledge your own mistakes and freely pass the credit to others. It requires seriously shrinking your ego. And finally, we had step 3, the highest realm. This is the ultimate peak of cultivation. It's where an individual is actually willing to sacrifice themselves to protect someone else.
And what does that ultimate sacrifice actually look like? Reaching this highest realm means you are literally willing to sacrifice your own honor, your own dignity, your property, your status, and, yes, even your life. But here's the kicker. You sacrifice them specifically to protect those exact same 5 things: honor, dignity, property, status, or life for somebody else. It is the absolute pinnacle of selflessness.
So the real magic here is when we bring our 2 real-world characters back and put them side by side against this framework. Look at the angry driver. He was operating at rock bottom. He aggressively shielded his own fragile ego, and he actively attacked another person's dignity over a minor inconvenience. But the elegant lady? She was operating at the highest realm. Think about it. Even though she was the one who got hurt, she willingly sacrificed her own dignity by taking the blame and apologizing. And she did it purely to protect the clumsy cyclist's honor and relieve his guilt. She literally gave up her right to be angry just to give him peace.
It's such a challenging, but honestly incredibly inspiring framework for personal growth. Xu Feng suggests we should all be looking at this lady as a role model. So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on regarding your own cultivation. If you were walking down the street today and out of nowhere you got knocked flat on the ground, how would you truly react?